Welcome to the Path to Mindset Mastery. My name is Brad Bizjack. I'm a mindset strategist and coach, inspirational speaker, and creator of Appreciation Academy. And today is all about the lie detector test because you are a liar. Yes, you heard me right. You're a liar. And you're going, what? That's not very positive, Brad. Yeah, it actually is, because I'm going to share with you a tool today that I did not create. I learned this from James Wedmore. It's something that tremendously impacted my life that has helped me overcome negative emotions, right? Because have you ever noticed that when we feel negative emotions, at least in my past, whenever I felt a negative emotion, it almost felt like I shouldn't be feeling it. For example, if I felt anxiety back in the day, I felt like I shouldn't feel anxious. And from feeling that way, it made me feel more anxious. And it got worse. It's almost like getting pissed off that you're pissed off, right? And we ended up getting into this tailspin where I felt like emotions were just something that needed to run their course like a virus. And then once it passed, then I'd be fine, without realizing that all that was happening was that I was focusing on the wrong thing. And I would let these negative emotions consume me. I'm curious, do you have negative emotions that you kind of go to on a regular basis? Because your life is a reflection of your emotional home. For example, if you set a thermostat in your house, let's say it's set to 65. I know that's actually cold, but let's say it's set to 65. Well, if it's hot outside, your thermostat is going to tone that house temperature back down to 65. And if it's cold outside, it's going to raise that temperature up to 65, right? Well, a lot of times what we think is that it's the external weather that's the problem in our lives. Meaning because something happens, we feel a certain way, right? Or if we want something great to happen, but we can't seem to get past it, the reason isn't because of those stimuli. It's because of where our thermostat is set. So if your thermostat is set to 65 and something really, really amazing happens, set at like a 92 degrees, right? Well, if your emotional thermostat is set to shitty, guess what happens? You're going to downplay that. It's not going to feel as good. And if something really shitty happens, right? Well, maybe you have the tools to get it back to a 65. Well, some people have the thermostat set at like 30, right? They have it set really, really low and they don't allow themselves to feel great. So your job is to lift up that thermostat reading. You have to set the temperature to 80, 90, 100 degrees. Obviously, you're going to sweat a little bit, but you have to do that because when you do that, it changes the game forever. So how do we do that? We need to realize that all emotions serve us. All emotions are a really good thing. In fact, every negative emotion has a very specific purpose and meaning that you need to realize. But a lot of people don't. They think it's just something that needs to run their course and that they'll be fine once it's done. But here's the thing. Whatever you believe in, God, the universe, whatever it is, I'm pretty sure that God wasn't drunk on the job when he created you, or the universe wasn't drunk on the job when it created you, right? Like whatever you believe in, I'm not here to tell you what to believe, just whatever your beliefs are, go with that. They weren't drunk on the job when they created you, right? Meaning, wouldn't you agree that in God's eyes or the universe's eyes, they want you to feel fully alive on a regular basis. They want you to feel great. Not saying we won't feel pain, but for the most part, wouldn't you agree they want you to feel really, really good? Then why is it that we choose to suffer? Because in life, pain is coming, pain is guaranteed, but suffering is a choice. It's a choice, it's optional. And a lot of us stay in suffering. We think that we are anxiety. We think we are depression. No, those are something we do through our physiology and our focus, right? For example, if I said to you right now, get into a worried state with your body, first gut reaction, worried state with your body, what do? You go like this, right? Or whatever it is for you. And does your breathing slow down? You kind of close up, right? Something to do with your body. But if I say get happy, what do? You pop up, shoulders are back, chest is up, you're breathing faster, your shoulders are back, you're feeling alive, right? Different emotions, different physiology. Same thing with your focus. If I focus on how I shouldn't feel anxious, then the focus gets worse. But if I focus on something I'm grateful for, then all of a sudden the emotion gets better and it goes away. But I'd like to give you a tool that I learned from James Wedmore to make this happen so much faster. It's what I call the emotional lie detector test. And really what that means is that we see our emotions as a lie detector. So if you have a positive emotion, it means you're telling the truth. And if you have a negative emotion, it means you're telling a lie. And that's it. And you're going, this isn't making sense, Brad. It will in a minute, right? So truth is positive emotion, lie is negative emotion. Because remember, God wasn't drunk on the job. He wants you to feel really good on a regular basis, right? So if that's true, I want you to think about some situation when you got super stressed out or panicked or worried or just something where a negative emotion was involved, anything at all. And jot down real quick what that was. Let me get a sip of water real quick, clear my throat. You get and think about what that situation was that caused that negative emotion. I want you to ask yourself, if that's a lie, if you had to know, what's the lie you're choosing to believe in that moment that God refuses to believe or the universe refuses to believe? What's the lie you're choosing to believe in that moment that God or the universe refuses to believe? And in fact, do this with your favorite flavor of suffering, right? For some people, that's anxiety. I'm an anxious person. Bullshit. No, you're not, right? Go to wherever you like to suffer the most and pick a situation that causes that or triggers that. Let me give you an example in my life. At the time of this recording, one of the events that I'm going to for my own personal growth is Tony Robbins' Date with Destiny, and it's in a couple of weeks. And I was trying to think like, okay, I'd love for my wife to go with me to this because I know it would change her life. It would help move us in a positive direction. There's a whole focus on relationships. It would help us grow closer together. All these amazing reasons, right? I'm like, just watch the documentary, I'm Not Your Guru, see if it's for you. And after she watched the documentary, she goes, you know what? If I went to this, I'd still be doing it for you and not for me. I don't really want to go to this. And in that moment, I started to get really stressed out, really worried, really anxious, thinking things like, well, if I go and I grow this much, what happens if you don't? Are we going to grow apart? I started thinking like, why don't you want to grow with me? I started thinking, well, you don't prioritize your personal growth. I started judging her for that. I started thinking like this, like, why are we ever going to be on the same page when it comes to this stuff, right? And it got all these emotions going, right? And so I used the lie detector test in that moment. And it took me a little bit to remember that I had this tool in my tool belt, but I used it. And I said, in that moment, I said, okay, if I had to know, what's the lie that I'm choosing to believe that God refuses to believe? And I said to myself, okay, if I had to know an answer, the lie I'm choosing to believe that God refuses to believe is that from going to a personal development event, my wife and I are going to grow apart. The lie is that my wife needs to grow in the same way that I do. The lie is that I care about my growth. The lie is that my wife needs to grow in the same way that I do. And those are all lies, right? And I started telling myself the lie. I started getting present to the lies I was telling myself about the situation, right? Because is that actually true? Nope, not at all. Because here's the thing. The next question of the lie detector test is, okay, what's the truth that God absolutely knows is true? If you had to know an answer, right? Or the universe absolutely knows is true. What's the truth that God of the universe absolutely knows is true about the situation? I said, well, okay, what's the truth if I had to know? In this situation, going to this event and furthering my personal growth will allow me to become a better man for her. Growing in this way doesn't mean she's not growing. She grows in her own way. It's not my job to judge the way she grows. It's my job to give her unconditional love regardless of how she grows. Do you think that changed my emotional state? Absolutely, because life is made up of events and the meaning you give to each event, right? Well, an event would be something that triggers a negative emotion. What's the meaning you're giving to it? Are you giving it the meaning of a lie, or are you giving it the meaning of a truth? Totally up to you on how you do that. But with this situation, do you think it changed the way I viewed it? Absolutely. And from changing the way I viewed it, do you think I have more or less influence? Do you think I have more or less positivity, more or less love? Do you think she feels more or less judged, right? It changes the game forever. So you can use this with any part of your life where a negative emotion comes up. You simply have to ask yourself, okay, first of all, we need to understand God wasn't drunk on the job and that I'm meant to feel fully alive most of the time, right? And sure, pain's a good thing because it causes me to move. I just don't stay in pain, right? Because it'd be a lie to say that you're happy 100% of the time, right? But when painful things happen, we need to realize that we're responsible for changing it. We don't have to suffer. We can choose to say, I'm going to use my tools in my tool belt to break through this and live a better life. So that's a tool that I've given you today to use that. And okay, so if God wasn't drunk on the job and wants me to feel fully alive every day, that means that I must be lying to myself about what the situation means because I feel shitty. Does that make sense? So ask yourself that. When you feel negative emotion, write out the situation, what you're making it mean in that moment. What is the lie you're choosing to believe about the situation that God refuses to believe? And what's the truth about the situation that God absolutely knows is true? If you answer those questions, you will feel different immediately. But realize that it's not bad to feel negative emotions. It's not bad to lie to yourself. Think about it. You believed a lie for a really long time. It's okay to believe lies. You just got to learn to change it. For example, Santa Claus. Hate to break it to you, Santa Claus is a lie. But you believed it for a really long time. Is that bad that you believe in Santa Claus? No, it's not bad. You just chose a change, right? So this isn't bad if you've been believing lies for a long time. Don't get down on yourself. Don't get sad that this happened. Just choose instead to break through it and use your toolbox. So I hope this tool really, really helped today. This is something that I just learned recently from James Wedmore. I did not create this. This is all James's work, right? Credit where credit's due. Follow James Wedmore. He's incredible. One of my biggest teachers through his Business by Design program, everything. He's fantastic. And I learned that from him. So I wanted to share it with you because it's made a profound impact on my life. Whenever I feel shitty, I use that and it changes how I feel in an instant. And I start telling myself the truth. I feel better. And when I feel better, I do more things to make my life even better, right? Because when you feel better, you do things more for your business, for your life, for your family, for your spouse, all these things, right? So that's what you need to do here. So I hope this makes sense today. If you found this motivational or helpful or useful, screenshot this, put it in your Insta story, share it with people, tag people, bring it to your team, share this with them so they can help their lives change. Hell, if your team hears this, imagine how much they're going to grow and what that does for your business. Everything changes, right? And one thing I'm doing every week is I'm doing a drawing for an Amazon gift card. So if you go to my podcast on iTunes and you leave a star rating and a review, so a star rating and a written review, and then you email me at brad@bradbizjack.com saying, hey, this is my name, here's my email, I did the thing, I go in and verify it, and you get entered into a raffle to win an Amazon gift card. Super awesome, takes 2 minutes of your time, but I'm just trying to grow this thing so it reaches more people and we can help serve more people with mindset, help them break through, and that happens through you guys sharing that this is making a profound impact on your life. So head to iTunes, give it that rating and review, send me that email at brad@bradbizjack.com with your name, your email, and the fact that you did it. I'll verify and I'll get entry into the raffle to win that Amazon gift card. And then put on your Instagram story, share this with other people. But either way, thank you so much for tuning in to the Path to Mindset Mastery today. My name's Brad Bizjack. Go out there today and every day and live your life with a genuine smile on your face because God wasn't drunk on the job. You're meant to. And I'll see you next week.